The moment the old jeweler's hand started shaking, I knew something was wrong. Not normal wrong. Not "this clasp is broken" wrong. The kind of wrong that makes your stomach drop before your brain can catch up. He grabbed my wrist gently but firmly, eyes wide behind thick glasses. His voice dropped to a whisper. "Ma'am, you need to take this off. Right now. Don't ask questions." When he showed me what was hidden inside that beautiful silver necklace, the one my own son had given me 6 months earlier for Mother's Day, my heart nearly stopped. Because in that moment, everything finally made sense. Why I had been slowly wasting away. Why no doctor could explain my symptoms. Why I felt like I was dying, even though every test said I was fine. And worst of all, I finally understood who wanted me dead. My name is Sierra Hooper. I'm 36 years old. And until 6 months ago, I thought I had a solid, normal life. Not perfect. No life ever is. But steady. Built the hard way. I became a mother at 18. Scared. Broke. Alone. With a baby boy and a future that felt like a brick wall. I married Patrick at 19. He worked construction. I went to night school for accounting. We bought a small house in Connecticut. We struggled. Then we stabilized. Then we finally breathed. We weren't rich. But we were okay. Then, 3 years ago, Patrick collapsed at home. By noon, he was gone. The doctor said it was a congenital heart defect no one knew about. One moment, he was complaining about heartburn. The next, I was a widow at 33. He left me financially secure. Life insurance. Savings. A paid-off house. About $1.2 million total. Not billionaire money, but enough that I could work part-time and focus on my son. Bradley. My whole world. He was 15 when his father died. And I watched him grow up overnight. By 16, he had a part-time job. By 17, he was talking about marriage. That's when Vivian came into our lives. She was 25 when they started dating. My son was 16. The first time Bradley brought her home, I remember thinking she looked too polished. Perfect hair. Perfect smile. The kind that makes you trust her before you even realize you're doing it. She laughed at my jokes. Complimented my cooking. Told me what a wonderful job I'd done raising my son. And something deep in my gut whispered, "This is wrong." But I ignored it. My sister Nain didn't. "A grown woman chasing a teenage boy," she said. "That's not love, Sierra. That's hunting." I defended Vivian. Told Nain she was paranoid. Told myself I was just struggling to let go of my son. 18 months later, Bradley begged me to sign for them to get married. In our state, you can marry at 17 with parental consent. I hesitated. I worried. I nearly said no. But I was afraid. Afraid he'd cut me off. Afraid I'd lose him completely. So I signed. I smiled at their wedding. I hugged Vivian. I told myself I was being a good mother. Then came Mother's Day. Bradley showed up at my door crying, holding a small velvet box. Inside was the most beautiful necklace I had ever seen. Silver. Ornate. Antique looking. The pendant caught the light like moon water. "Vivian helped me pick it," he said. "It was her grandmother's. She wanted you to have it." I cried. I put it on that day. And I didn't take it off for 6 straight months. Not to sleep. Not to shower. Not for anything. 2 weeks later, the sickness started. Morning nausea. Crushing headaches. Bone-deep exhaustion. Tremors. Weight loss. Hair falling out in clumps. Doctors ran tests. Everything came back normal. One even suggested stress. Another suggested yoga. Meanwhile, I was fading in front of my own eyes. And all the while, that necklace rested against my skin. I had no idea it was killing me. And I had no idea the real nightmare was only just beginning. By the third month, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me in the mirror. My cheeks had hollowed out. My skin looked dull and gray. My clothes hung loose like they belonged to someone else. I had lost nearly 20 pounds without trying. Not from dieting. Not from exercise. From being unable to keep food down. Some mornings, my hands shook so badly I had to use both hands to lift a coffee mug. I switched to heavier cups just so I wouldn't spill. My hair, thick, dark, the thing Patrick used to tease me about, started coming out in clumps. I'd stare at my brush like it had betrayed me. The doctors kept adding labels. Essential tremor. Unexplained weight loss. Chronic fatigue. None of them added answers. I kept wearing the necklace. Taking it off felt wrong. Like rejecting my son. Like admitting my sister might be right about Vivian. Like giving up the only proof I had that my daughter-in-law accepted me. Around that time, Vivian started coming over more often. 2 or 3 times a week. Always with food. Homemade soups. Herbal teas. Green smoothies that tasted like lawn clippings and hope. She hovered. Touched my arm. Asked if I was sleeping. If I was eating. She played the perfect, worried daughter-in-law. Part of me was grateful. Another part of me felt, watched. Then the suggestion started. You know, managing finances while you're this sick must be exhausting, she said one afternoon, concern dripping from every word. Have you thought about simplifying things? Maybe adding someone to your accounts, just in case. My accounting brain, foggy as it was, still flared. I'm fine managing my own money, I said. Of course you are, she replied sweetly. I just worry about you. A week later, she introduced me to a family friend. A financial advisor named Gilbert. Young. Expensive suit. Smile just a little too wide. He spread charts across my kitchen table and talked fast. High-yield investments. Complex strategies. Opportunities he couldn't explain in plain English. I recognized a predatory pitch. I'll think about it, I said. His smile twitched. Vivian wasn't happy. I thought you trusted my judgment, she said later. Her voice was polite. But underneath it, sharp. I ignored it. I was too tired to fight. Then my college roommate Patty invited me to Vermont for a long weekend. Fresh air, she said. Mountains. Quiet. A change of scenery. I almost canceled. But Nain insisted. You need to get out of that house, she said. You're wasting away. So I packed. And for the first time in 6 months, I forgot the necklace. It was sitting on my nightstand when I pulled out of the driveway. For a moment, I almost turned back. Then I didn't. Day 1 in Vermont, I was still sick. Day 2, I noticed something strange. I kept food down. Day 3, I woke up and felt normal. No nausea. No headache. No shaking hands. I ate a full breakfast. Eggs. Toast. Bacon. And it stayed down. For the first time in months, I had energy. I laughed. I walked outside. I felt human. I told myself it was the mountain air. I drove home Sunday night feeling better than I had in half a year. The moment I walked into my bedroom, I saw the necklace on the nightstand. I put it on immediately. Monday morning, I woke up vomiting. By Tuesday, the headaches were back. By Wednesday, my hands were shaking again. Still. I didn't connect it. Why would I? It was just a necklace. A gift from my son. Meanwhile, Bradley grew distant. Texts instead of calls. One word replies. When I did hear his voice, Vivian was always nearby. He sounded rehearsed. Nain noticed everything. You look worse every time I see you, she said. Something is seriously wrong. The doctors can't find anything, I snapped. Then they're looking in the wrong place. She begged me to step back. To think about when it started. She mentioned Vivian. We fought. Badly. She left my house in tears. That night, I cried myself to sleep, clutching the pendant against my chest. The same pendant that was slowly poisoning me. 2 weeks later, guilt ate at me. Nain's birthday was coming up. I decided to make peace. That's why I walked into a small antique shop downtown. That decision saved my life. The antique shop looked like it had been frozen in time. Dusty windows. Faded awning. A bell that chimed when I opened the door. The air smelled like old wood, metal polish, and decades of forgotten stories. I almost turned around. I felt weak. Lightheaded. The kind of weak where standing too long makes your vision blur. An elderly man appeared from the back room. Silver hair. Thick glasses. Hands steady despite his age. Be right with you, he said kindly. Name's Clement. My son runs the shop now. I help when I can. I told him I was looking for a vintage piece for my sister's birthday. He pointed me toward a glass case. While I browsed, my hand kept drifting to my own necklace out of habit. Clement noticed. That's an interesting piece you're wearing, he said. May I take a look? Without thinking, I unclasped it and handed it over. That was the moment everything changed. He lifted a jeweler's loupe to his eye and studied the pendant under the light. At first, his expression was neutral. Then curious. Then, tight. The color drained from his face. How long have you been wearing this? He asked quietly. 6 months, I said. Every day. His jaw clenched. Take off any other jewelry you have on, he said. And don't put this back on. My stomach flipped. What? Why? Just trust me, he said. Please. He led me to a workbench in the back. I spent 50 years in this business, Clement said. Started as a watchmaker. Did quality inspection for manufacturers. I've seen fakes, counterfeits, dangerous materials. He pointed to the pendant with a small tool. This piece isn't truly antique. It's modern work made to look old. And it has something I don't like. He showed me a seam. So small I could barely see it. A hidden compartment, he said. My throat went dry. A what? He used specialized tools and gently opened a microscopic hatch at the base of the pendant. Inside was a tiny cavity. Inside that cavity was a porous capsule filled with grayish powder. I felt dizzy. What is that? I whispered. I don't know exactly, Clement said grimly. But I know what it's designed to do. He looked at me over his glasses. It's meant for slow release. Body heat activates it. The closer it stays to your skin, the more exposure you get. I thought about how I slept. The pendant pressed against my chest. Hour after hour. Night after night. My hands started shaking. In my inspection days, Clement continued, we sometimes found jewelry contaminated with lead or cadmium. Cheap manufacturing. Accidents. He shook his head. This isn't an accident. This compartment was built deliberately. Someone put this here on purpose. 6 months of symptoms slammed into my mind all at once. The nausea. The tremors. The hair loss. The weekend in Vermont when I felt better. The instant relapse when I put the necklace back on. My voice barely worked. This necklace, I said. My daughter-in-law helped my son pick it out. She said it was her grandmother's. Clement's expression hardened. I've looked at jewelry for half a century, he said. Someone spent good money to make something beautiful that could kill you. Kill you. The word echoed in my head. You need to get this tested at a laboratory, Clement said. Immediately. And you need to trust someone who isn't connected to whoever gave you this. Only one name came to mind. Nain. I left the shop with the necklace sealed in a plastic bag like it was radioactive. I drove straight to my sister's house. Tears blurred my vision. Because suddenly, all the pieces fit. Vivian gave me the necklace. Vivian watched me get sicker. Vivian brought me food. Vivian hovered and smiled. While I was being poisoned. Nain opened the door ready to argue. Then she saw my face. What happened? She asked. I held up the bag. You were right, I whispered. About everything. Nain didn't scream. She didn't cry. She went very, very still. The kind of still that comes right before fury. Inside her kitchen, I told her everything. The antique shop. Clement. The hidden compartment. The capsule. The slow-release poison. Her face cycled through shock, horror, then something colder. I'm going to kill her, Nain said flatly. No, I said quickly. We need proof. Real proof. I grabbed her hands. Please. Help me do this right. Nain exhaled slowly. I know someone, she said. A friend from my hospital days. She runs private toxicology testing. We can get results fast. Within hours, the necklace was in a sealed evidence bag at a private lab. Then we waited. 48 hours. 2 days of pacing. Drinking tea. Jumping every time a phone rang. 2 days of my brain replaying 6 months of sickness with new understanding. My daughter-in-law didn't just hurt me. She tried to murder me. When the call finally came, my hands were shaking so badly Nain had to put the phone on speaker. The lab technician's voice was calm. Clinical. The substance is thallium sulfate. I felt like the room tilted. Thallium? I repeated. Yes, ma'am. Colorless. Odorless. Extremely toxic. In small doses over time, it mimics natural illness. Hair loss. Gastrointestinal issues. Neurological symptoms. Every symptom I'd had. Another 6 to 8 months of exposure, the tech continued, and you would likely have suffered permanent organ damage. A year could have been fatal. Fatal. I stared at the lab report. 6 months of slow poisoning. Disguised as a family heirloom. I didn't cry. For the first time in months. I felt something else. Rage. We need to go to the police, Nain said. Not yet, I replied. Not without a plan. She'll deny everything. She'll say I'm sick and confused. Bradley will defend her. I have proof there's poison, I said. I don't have proof she put it there. Nain was quiet. Then she said, I know someone. Detective Monica Reyes. We'd grown up 3 houses apart. Lost touch. Reconnected years later. Now she was a senior detective with the state police. She came over that night, off duty. Jeans. Sweater. No badge showing. She listened. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, she leaned back. This is attempted murder, Monica said. Premeditated. Methodical. Designed to look natural. I felt sick. You're lucky to be alive, she added. I don't feel lucky, I said. I feel stupid. Don't, she said firmly. Poisoners rely on trust. That's not stupidity. That's being human. The investigation had to be quiet. If Vivian suspected anything, she'd destroy evidence or run. So I had to keep pretending. Let her visit. Let her bring smoothies. Let her smile and play concerned. It was the hardest acting I've ever done. Monica's team went to work. They traced the purchase of thallium through shell companies and cryptocurrency. They traced the necklace to a custom overseas jeweler who specialized in hidden compartments. But then Monica brought me something worse. "Your financial advisor," she said. "Gilbert." My stomach dropped. "He's already under federal investigation for fraud," Monica said. "Multiple elderly clients. Lost savings. And he has a long history with Vivian. They weren't just acquaintances. They were partners. Former lovers. Still in contact. Hundreds of calls. Thousands of messages." Suddenly, the whole plan came into focus. Marry my son. Isolate him. Poison me slowly. Let me die naturally. Inherit my money. Move it with Gilbert's help. My life was worth $1.2 million to them. Monica looked at me. "We need her to incriminate herself." "How?" I asked. Monica's eyes narrowed slightly. "We give her exactly what she wants. To catch a predator, sometimes you have to let them think they've already won." That was Monica's plan. Vivian wanted control. Over my health. Over my finances. Over my life. So we decided to hand her the bait. I called Vivian the next day and forced weakness into my voice. "I've been thinking about what you said," I told her. "About simplifying my finances. You're right. I'm too sick to manage everything myself." There was a pause. Then warmth. Too much warmth. "Oh, Sierra," she said softly. "I'm so glad you finally trust me. I've been so worried about you." Worried. The word almost made me laugh. "Maybe we can meet," she continued. "Have a family dinner. Discuss everything properly. I'll have a notary come so we can make it official." A notary. She'd already planned it. "Of course," I said. "I'd feel better with Bradley there too." "Absolutely," she replied. "Family should be involved." I hung up and stared at the wall. Monica nodded. She took the bait. The house was wired. Monica had officers in unmarked cars nearby. A female officer posed as the notary. The badge would be hidden. The warrant ready. All I had to do was act. Saturday night, Vivian's house looked perfect. Candles. Flowers. Expensive wine breathing in a crystal decanter. The smell of roasted chicken and rosemary filled the air. It smelled like comfort. It felt like betrayal. Bradley looked exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes. He hugged me too tightly. "I've been so worried about you, Mom," he said. My heart broke a little more. At the table sat a woman I didn't recognize. Dark blazer. Leather folder. "This is Patricia," Vivian said smoothly. "She's the notary." Patricia smiled politely. What Vivian didn't know was that Patricia was Officer Janet Moreno. Dinner was torture. Vivian chatted about recipes and decor while I barely touched my food. Nain sat beside me, jaw clenched. Bradley kept looking between us, sensing something was wrong. Then Vivian brought out the folder. "I had my lawyer prepare these," she said. "Just standard power of attorney. It means I can help manage things if you're too ill." She slid the papers toward me. "Just sign here. And here. And here." Her finger tapped the signature lines. "Then you won't have to worry about anything ever again." I picked up the pen. My hand trembled. Partly acting. Partly not. Before I signed, I looked up. "I have a question," I said quietly. "About my necklace." The tiniest flicker crossed her face. "My necklace?" I reached into my purse. Pulled out the sealed evidence bag. The silver pendant gleamed through the plastic. I placed it on the table. I had this tested, Vivian. The room went silent. Thallium sulfate, I said. Hidden compartment. Slow-release poison. The color drained from her face. Bradley straightened. Mom, what are you talking about? I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on Vivian. You've been poisoning me for 6 months. She swallowed. Sierra, you're confused. You've been sick. I placed the lab report on the table. Purchase records trace back to your email. Your college email. Her eyes darted toward the door. And Gilbert, I continued. Your financial advisor. Your boyfriend. The FBI has been investigating him for over a year. That's a lie, she said sharply. He flipped, I said. 3 days ago. Her face cracked. He wouldn't, she whispered. He wouldn't. He did. That's when Patricia stood. Vivian Prescott, she said, pulling out her badge. You are under arrest for attempted murder. For one frozen second, no one moved. Then Vivian lunged. Vivian didn't run toward me. She ran toward freedom. She shoved past Bradley so hard he slammed into the wall, then sprinted for the kitchen door. She made it 3 steps. 2 officers came through the back entrance at the same time. She spun. 2 more officers blocked the front. There was nowhere to go. The handcuffs snapped around her wrists. That's when the mask shattered. You were supposed to die. Vivian screamed, twisting against the officers. You were supposed to just die quietly. It would have been so easy. The words hit Bradley like a physical blow. His face went white. Vivian, what are you saying? He whispered. She thrashed, tears streaking through her makeup. You ruined everything, she screamed at me. Everything. The money. The plan. You were supposed to be dead by now. Monica Reyes stepped through the front door, her badge catching the light. That's enough, she said calmly. Get her out of here. They dragged Vivian toward the door, still screaming about lawyers, about conspiracies, about how this was all my fault. Her perfect hair was coming loose. Her perfect smile was gone. All that was left was rage. Outside, blue and red lights painted the walls. Inside, my son stood frozen. Bradley looked at me like a little boy again. Mom. I didn't know, he said. I swear. I didn't know. I crossed the room and took his face in my hands. You didn't know, I said softly. She fooled both of us. He broke. He collapsed into me, sobbing. 18 years old. Married to a woman who tried to murder his mother. I held him while his whole world fell apart. That same night, Gilbert Stowe was arrested at the airport. One-way ticket. Large wire transfers pending. A laptop full of emails outlining the plan. Every step. Every dollar. Every lie. Both of them were in custody before midnight. For the first time in 6 months, I slept. No nausea. No shaking. No nightmares. Just deep, quiet sleep. The trial came faster than I expected. Vivian's lawyers tried everything. They claimed the evidence was planted. They claimed I was mentally unstable. They claimed Gilbert acted alone. The jury didn't buy it. The emails were too detailed. The lab results too clear. The wire recording too damning. When they played Vivian's own words, "You were supposed to die," the courtroom went silent. The verdict came back quickly. Guilty. Attempted murder. Conspiracy. Fraud. 25 years to life. Vivian showed no emotion. She stared at me across the courtroom with empty eyes. I stared back. Gilbert took a plea deal. 18 years in federal prison. He cried. Vivian didn't even look at him. 2 weeks after the necklace was gone, my nausea disappeared. A month later, new hair started growing in. 3 months later, my strength came back. My doctor called it remarkable. I called it survival. Bradley filed for divorce while Vivian was awaiting sentencing. He moved back home. Just for a while, he said. We both knew it wasn't just for a while. We needed each other. Slowly, my son came back. The boy who used to call about laundry. The boy who used to tell me everything. He started therapy. He started healing. And so did I. But one question still haunted me. One single moment. One single decision. If I hadn't walked into that antique shop. 6 months after the sentencing, my hands were steady. The sun was warm on my back. I was in my garden, planting new roses. That might sound small. It wasn't. 6 months earlier, I couldn't hold a coffee mug without shaking. I couldn't keep food down. I couldn't climb stairs without stopping halfway to breathe. Now I was on my knees in the dirt, hands strong, heart steady, alive. Nain came through the back gate carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. She handed me one and sat beside me. You know what I keep thinking about? I said, pressing soil around a rose bush. What? That antique shop. That old jeweler. If I hadn't gone in there that day. I didn't finish. I didn't have to. Nain squeezed my hand. But you did, she said. That's what matters. Clement. The quiet old man who noticed what no doctor did. The man who didn't know me, didn't owe me anything, but still saved my life by trusting his instincts. I went back to his shop a few weeks later. I brought cookies. Homemade. He looked embarrassed. I just did my job, he said. No, I told him. You did more than that. You gave me my life back. He smiled softly and waved it off, but I saw the moisture in his eyes. Some heroes don't wear uniforms. Some of them wear magnifying glasses. Bradley is still healing. 18 years old and already learning lessons some people never face. That love can be weaponized. That trust can be exploited. That monsters don't always look like monsters. He goes to therapy every week. Some days are harder than others. But slowly, he's coming back to himself. So am I. Nain and I have a new rule. Sunday dinners. No exceptions. She never says, I told you so. She doesn't have to. Our new joke. Trust your sister. Especially about jewelry. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about how carefully Vivian planned everything. How she smiled while I got sicker. How she held my hand while poisoning me. How close I came to dying without ever knowing why. It taught me something I'll never forget. Pay attention to your instincts. Listen to the people who love you enough to tell you hard truths. And remember this. The most dangerous poison doesn't always come in a bottle. Sometimes. It comes wrapped in silver. Given with a smile. From someone you trusted. I look at my garden. The flowers Patrick and I planted together. The new ones I'm planting now. Life isn't perfect. It never was. My husband is gone. My son carries scars. I lost 6 months of my life to someone else's greed. But I'm still here. Breathing. Planting. Living. And every single morning I wake up. I choose to live loudly. Because surviving isn't the same as living. And I plan to do both. I thought the worst part was over. I was wrong. The arrest and sentencing closed one chapter. But for Bradley, the real nightmare was just beginning. The truth hit him in waves. Some days, he was angry. Not at Vivian. At himself. I should have seen it, he said one night, sitting at the kitchen table long after midnight. There were signs. She hated when I visited you alone. She got mad if I didn't answer her texts fast enough. She always said you were manipulating me. My chest tightened. She isolated you, I said gently. That's what predators do. They cut off support so they can control the story. He stared at his hands. I helped her, he whispered. I brought you that necklace. I put it around your neck. You didn't know, I said for the 100th time. She used your love to hurt me. That's on her. Not you. But guilt doesn't listen to logic. It eats at you quietly. Bradley started having nightmares. He'd wake up drenched in sweat, convinced I was dead. Some nights, I heard him crying in his room, trying to be quiet so I wouldn't hear. I always heard. We went to family counseling together. The therapist explained what manipulation looks like. How abusers groom not just their target, but everyone around them. Bradley learned something that broke him. Vivian had been deleting my texts from his phone. Blocking my calls. Telling him I said things I never said. She built a fake version of me in his mind. A controlling, jealous mother. That was how she justified everything. Bradley slammed his fist into the couch when he realized it. She stole you from me while I was still living in the same town, he said. Yes, I replied softly. She did. That was the moment something shifted in him. The anger finally landed where it belonged. On her. He wrote a letter to Vivian in prison. He never sent it. But he let me read it. It was raw. It was heartbreaking. It ended with one line I will never forget. You didn't just try to kill my mother. You killed the man I thought you were. Bradley burned the letter in our backyard fire pit. He said watching it turn to ash felt like letting go. For me, the healing was quieter. My body recovered faster than my trust. Every gift made me uneasy. Every compliment felt suspicious. When someone smiled too sweetly, part of me flinched. Poison changes you. Not just physically. Emotionally. I started therapy too. Not just for what happened. But for what almost happened. For the life I almost lost. For the future that almost disappeared. Some nights, I dreamed about the necklace. In the dream, I couldn't unclasp it. It was fused to my skin. I'd wake up clutching my chest, heart racing. Then I'd remind myself. It's gone. You're safe. But trauma doesn't run on logic. It runs on memory. And memory doesn't care that it's over. One afternoon, months later, I got a letter. From prison. From Vivian. I almost threw it away. The return address made my stomach drop. State Correctional Facility. Her handwriting. Vivian. For a full minute, I just stood there in the kitchen, holding the envelope like it might bite me. Bradley was at work. Part of me wanted to hide it. Another part of me knew hiding was exactly how she always won. So I opened it. The paper smelled faintly of disinfectant and cheap soap. The first line made my hands shake. I never meant for it to go this far. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. Because poison doesn't go too far by accident. She wrote about regret. About loneliness. About how prison had changed her. Then the tone shifted. Subtle. Sharp. You always had a way of making people turn against me, she wrote. Even Bradley. I hope you're happy knowing you took everything from me. There it was. Not remorse. Blame. Victimhood. Classic. Then came the sentence that made my chest go cold. Some people don't realize how fragile their peace really is. I read it 3 times. That wasn't regret. That was a warning. I took the letter to the police. The detective didn't hesitate. That's intimidation, he said. She can't threaten you from inside. They added it to her file. But paper records don't stop fear. For weeks after that, every strange noise made me jump. Every unknown number made my heart pound. Bradley tried to be strong. "I won't let her touch you again," he said. I believed him. But fear doesn't care about promises. Then something worse happened. Someone started watching the house. At least, that's what it felt like. A car parked across the street for hours. Different days. Different cars. Always someone sitting inside. Not moving. Just watching. The police said it could be coincidence. But trauma doesn't believe in coincidence. Neither did Bradley. He installed cameras. Changed the locks. Bought motion sensors. My home started to feel like a bunker. Safe. But not peaceful. One night, one of the cameras caught something. A woman walking past the house slowly. Stopping. Looking straight at the camera. Smiling. Then walking away. I didn't recognize her. But the smile? It felt familiar. Cold. Knowing. Bradley went pale when he saw it. "That's not random," he said. "Vivian has friends," I whispered. Or worse. Believers. People who still thought she was the victim. That was when I understood something terrifying. Prison walls don't always stop influence. They just change how it travels. The letter wasn't the end. It was the beginning. It was just after sunset. The sky was orange and purple, that calm, beautiful kind of evening that makes you forget how dangerous the world can be. Bradley was in the shower. I was folding laundry in the living room when the doorbell rang. Not a knock. Not a neighborly tap. A firm, deliberate press. I froze. Something in my chest tightened. I checked the camera on my phone. A woman stood on the porch. Mid-30s. Dark hair pulled back tight. Hands clasped in front of her. She looked calm. Too calm. I didn't open the door. I spoke through the intercom. "Can I help you?" She smiled. The same kind of smile from the camera footage. "I just wanted to talk," she said. "It won't take long." "I'm not interested." She leaned closer to the camera. "I knew Vivian," she said. My stomach dropped. "I'm sorry," I said. "You need to leave." "She told me you'd say that." That sentence made my blood go cold. "She said you always pretend to be the victim," the woman continued. "She said you ruined her life." I felt my hands start to shake. "This is harassment," I said. "I'm calling the police." She didn't flinch. "Go ahead," she said softly. "I just wanted you to know, not everyone believes your story." Then she stepped back. But she didn't leave. A second person appeared. A man. Tall. Hood up. Face half hidden. He stayed near the edge of the yard. Watching the house. Watching me. That's when Bradley came out of the bathroom. He saw my face. "What's wrong?" I showed him the screen. He went pale. He grabbed his phone and called the police. The woman on the porch tilted her head. "See," she said. "You always run to authorities. Vivian said you would." The police arrived fast. The woman suddenly became polite. Smiling. "I was just checking on an old friend's family," she told them. The man slipped away while the officers questioned her. No crime. No threats. No arrest. Just fear. Before she left, she looked straight into the camera one last time. "She says hello," she said. Then she walked away. That night, Bradley slept on the couch. Lights on. Phone charged. My house didn't feel like my house anymore. It felt like a message. She might be behind bars. But her shadow wasn't. The call came from the prison 2 weeks later. They said Vivian had requested a formal mediation session. Supervised. Recorded. Voluntary. My first instinct was to say no. Bradley wanted me to say no. She doesn't get access to you anymore, he said. Not after everything. But part of me needed something else. Not forgiveness. Not understanding. Finality. I agreed. The visitation room smelled like bleach and old coffee. Plastic chairs. Scratched tables. Guards everywhere. Then she walked in. Vivian looked smaller. Not weaker. Smaller. Like the power she once carried had been stripped away, leaving only the shell. She smiled when she saw me. I didn't. You look well, she said. I didn't answer. She tilted her head. Still silent treatment? You always did that when you wanted to punish someone. I'm not here to punish you, I said. I'm here to end this. Her smile twitched. She leaned forward. I didn't send anyone to your house, she said quickly. You believe that, don't you? I held her gaze. I believe you know exactly why they came. Her eyes flickered. Just for a second. That was all I needed. You ruined my life, she said, her voice low. I was desperate. I made mistakes. You tried to kill me, I said. Silence. The guards shifted. She looked down. Then she laughed softly. I never thought you'd actually die, she said. I just needed time. Just enough. That was my closure. Not an apology. Not regret. Truth. You didn't win, I said. You lost everything. She leaned back. You still lost your husband. Your son's childhood. Your sense of safety. I stood up. And you lost your freedom. Your future. And any control over my life. She stared at me. For the first time, there was something like fear in her eyes. You don't matter anymore, I said. Not to me. That hurt her more than anger ever could. As I walked out, she said my name. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Some endings don't need a final look. They need a final step forward. That was mine.